What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the Simpson electric pressure washer. This is the Simpson 2300 PSI clean machine. It's rated 2300 PSI, 1.2 GPM. Now this thing is a brushless induction motor, which is great. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do an unboxing, see what it comes with. Then I'll be hooking it up to my pressure gauge, and we'll be testing the actual usable pressure of the pressure washer. And then we'll also be doing a GPM test using the nozzles that it came with. So let's jump into it, guys. Unboxing. Okay, so we're starting off with our unboxing. We're just gonna go ahead and open this guy up and see exactly what's inside of it. Should be pretty standard, I would think. Right on the top here, you do have a thank you for choosing Simpson. You can register, review, and connect. Let's see here. Gotta say, packaging right off the bat is really nice. They keep it really secure. Like, this is not just plastic, it's like, you know, I don't know, particle board or something with some cardboard on there. So right off the bat, they're doing a good job of whatever they can to keep the thing safe. However, I will say, guys, this is a little bit of a bummer, a little bit concerning. Let me bring you guys in a little bit closer and tilt you down. So the stickers are peeling off of it. The on-off button is peeling up. So try and push that back down. I don't know if that's even gonna hold. That's not a huge deal. And then also the Simpson clean machine, again, right on the edges, is peeling up. So I'll try and push that down. Not a big deal, right? They're just stickers, but that does kind of already, my first impression is like, why is that stuff peeling up? So take that for what it is. It's obviously not gonna affect the performance of the unit. It's just a little bit of a bummer that the stickers are peeling up, but let's move past it. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep unboxing this thing. We have a couple of attachments coming out. First things first is your pressure washer wand. It is the longer type of wand. Looks like your basic, what the heck? So, now this is a little bit chewed up as well. You guys can see that? Now this was shipped to me, Simpson actually sent this to me, so I don't know if it was like a floor unit and then they just packaged that and then sent it out, or if it comes a little bit rough like that. I mean, it doesn't look like it was ever opened before, but I don't know, a little bit of damage there. It's kind of a bummer as well. Now the pressure washer wand itself feels fine. Definitely is gonna have a metal extension that goes onto the tip of it. Trigger's good, has a trigger stop, trigger lock on it. And then we have the basic connection point right here. All right, moving on. All right, here's the backing unit for it. Again, this is just where, this will be your handle and where you can store your nozzles, store your wand, all that kind of good stuff. So we'll deal with this in a second. Let's just keep unboxing. Now we have the hose that it comes with. Doesn't seem like, yeah, it's not a great hose. We'll look at this again in a second. There is the unit itself. We've got some wheels inside of the box still, and then we just have our little accessory bundle, whoa, as well. All right, and last but not least, right here, it was a little bit hidden. I was nervous that it didn't come with one, but here is the metal lance extension for the pressure washer wand. So let's go ahead and just put that in now. It's a basic fitting. There's two little O-rings right on there. This just sits right over the top of that. Push it down over it, and then you can tighten this down and everything seals up nicely. And there we are, right? And now we have a 1/4 inch quick connect at the end for all your nozzles. Okay, now let's move on to assembly. Obviously the wheels are gonna go back here. It'll sit more up like this. But first things first, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on the backing piece. It's very, very simple. It's just got the push pin style connection point. So just line it up, push those pins in and slide it over the top. Snaps into place and you're good to go. So that's all done. Okay, so now for the wheels. Right now with that backing place on, it wants to fall over. So we gotta get those wheels on, get it set up so that it fits nicely. Right on the wheel, there's a little cap. So we'll wanna pop that off so that we can actually access the whole wheel. There we go. Comes right off. Now in our little baggie, there's these little pins and we use those just to slide through and get it all set up. It's really, really simple. So here's the little separated pack of just the hardware for the wheels. We've got 2 washers that are both for each side, so 2 for each wheel, and they are curved to fit around the tubing of the frame. All right guys, so it's really simple. Now that we have that cap off, we take the pin, put it through the hole, then we put on the first washer facing up like that, so that that's gonna wrap around the tubing. So we'll go ahead and insert that through the tube. Then we'll take the other washer facing the other way so it secures around the tube as well. And then we just put the pin through the hole and it secures everything in place. Good to go. And then last but not least, we'll go ahead and take the cap, put it back on the wheel. If I can, oh, all right, pay attention, there's actually little pins, so it does need to go in a certain spot. And there we go. So that's one side done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side really quickly. Okay guys, and there we are. It is all set up and sitting correctly now. So let's go ahead and look at the rest of the attachments. It looks like we do have a little strap here. I guess that could either be for cord storage or for the hose, and it looks like it actually is for the hose. So you just take your hose and you can strap it into this little Velcro strap. It hangs off the back, nice and easy. Now the power cord does have a ground fault interrupt in it, 3-prong, and I believe it's a 35-foot power cord. Now, one thing that I'm not a fan of with this unit, guys, is that the water inlet and the water outlet are on the same side. It does have a nice little mesh filter for the inlet, so that's nice, but then the water outlet comes on the same side. I personally just don't like that because there's a lot of lines coming out from the same direction, and you run the risk of getting kind of tangled up and kind of it just feels a little sloppy to me compared to having it come out of each side, but not a big deal. Again, another sticker on the front of the unit is peeling off. So then we do have your soap dispensing little container here where you can put soap in and have it flow through your entire hose. I never use that because when you do that, it contaminates the entire hose with soap. And then when you're done with your soap and you're going to rinse, there's still a little bit of residual soap in there, so you're not getting a true spot-free clean finish. So I never use that. I always use an aftermarket foam cannon. If you want a cheap one, I'll put a link down in the description below. It's the Amazon Basics foam cannon. And then if you want a really good one that is cheaper than some of the other high-end ones, but performs better, I'll link that down in the description below as well, from IMJOSHV. So we'll look at those two. Now we do have our pressure washer wand storage. Again, that sticker is peeling off, but it does fit in there nicely. There you go, boom. So everything fits nicely. It's nice and compact. Now, as far as nozzles go, they give you a pretty limited amount of nozzles for a unit like this. Typically, they'll give you, I don't know, 4 or 5 nozzles typically with a unit like this. With this one, all they give you is a soap dispensing nozzle, a 15-degree nozzle, and a turbo nozzle. Now, I personally would prefer if they gave you that turbo nozzle and a 40-degree nozzle. The turbo nozzle does a great job of cutting through a bunch of stuff, gives you the most amount of power. And then I would have liked a 40-degree nozzle so that you could use it on cars and things like that. 15's fine, it's just I prefer a 40. Okay, so I just took a look, and the hose that it comes with is 25 feet long, and it is an M22 by 14 connection point. Same as that's on the machine. M22 by 14 is the standard. That's what's gonna come on all your like Craftsman, Ryobis, all the kind of like main branded ones that you can buy in your big box store. All the aftermarket hoses are typically M22 by 14. Some of the other units I've tested, every once in a while you'll get an M22 by 15. In that case, you need to get an adapter to put an aftermarket hose on it. However, in this case, it's an M22 by 14, which means if you want to upgrade your hose, no worries, it's a direct replacement. I'll show you guys a hose in a second, the one that I prefer. Let me go ahead and scroll you guys up for this, because here is the hose that the unit comes with. And as you can see, it's kind of a tangled mess. So let's go ahead and unwind it. And there you go. As I'm unwinding it, it has kinked. And as you can see, it's actually kinked in the line now. So now there is a failure point. You can see it fold around itself and it creates that little notch there. Now there's a failure point in that line. So if you're working and you get a little pinch and there's too much pressure building up, that's gonna weaken over time and it's gonna break. So also flexibility wise, not great, and it wants to kink as I'm doing that. So right there, it's kinking again. Again, guys, 25 feet. Ideally, you want longer because, especially if you're working, with 25 feet, you're gonna have to move the pressure washer. If you have a 50-footer, you don't need to move it because you have a nice long hose. So let me go ahead and grab the hose real quick that I recommend so you guys can see it. So here is the hose that I prefer. This is called the Uberflex hose. It's from a brand called ProPulse. They have a specific patent on this type of hose. It's fantastic. So this thing is 50 feet long. It's about 50 bucks, so $1 a foot. It's an M22x14 connection point. On this one, I did connect, I put some quick connects on it, so it's just easier to assemble and everything else. But check it out, guys. Super, super, super flexible. Okay, remember when I did this test the flexibility? Like, it's just super nimble, and it does not kink. Okay, now you can get it to roll over on itself, all the way over, right? I'm pushing really hard to get it to do that. But when you let go, it's completely out of the line. It has no memory of a kink in it, so it's totally fine. I use these all the time in my professional detailing business. This is my go-to hose. I absolutely love them. Highly recommend. I'll link this down in the description for you guys. Now, on top of that, as a professional, I prefer a different type of pressure washer wand than what it comes with. I do not like the fact that the connection point is here, so when you're working, the hose is coming down here in front of where it's not comfortable, right? It kind of gets tangled up. It's fine if you don't want to spend the money. This will get the job done perfectly fine. But if you're trying to have the best pressure washing experience that you can, I prefer going with a short pressure washer wand, a stubby. The great thing about this one is it has the 1/4 inch quick connect, and then there's also this extension that you can get that quick connects right into the nozzle. Boom, there you go, and then this has a quick connect as well. So you can still get the length extension that you want, but now you have two options. So I'll link both of these down below as well for you guys, so you have those options. Now, when I'm testing this pressure washer unit, I'm going to be using the 50-foot Uberflex hose, and I'm going to be using this because I need to be able to put quick connects on it in order for my pressure washer gauge to fit in. So you can see it's via quick connect, so I have to have quick connects on it. That hose is already set up for it. I did do a test a while back in a video testing a 25-foot hose versus a 50-foot hose versus a 100-foot hose. It did not affect the PSI or the GPM at all. So no concerns there. Whatever the numbers we get are going to be accurate with this. So trying to think of anything else for you guys. I think that's pretty much it. So I'm going to wheel it over. Let's start testing this thing. All right, guys, just real quick interruption on today's video, just to announce the Amazon Foam Cannon, Amazon Basics Foam Cannon giveaway. Again, I said I was going to choose 3 winners, so we have them here. We have Nolan Jones 326, _Real Billy Spencer, and DJ Rock 55. So congratulations to you guys. For everyone else, thank you so much for commenting. We will be doing more giveaways soon, so make sure you keep trying on those ones. Eventually you'll win, hopefully. For the people who did win on this giveaway, please just go over to my Instagram, IMJOSHV, and shoot me a message there with your address, direct private message so no one else sees your address, and I'll get those out to you ASAP. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, so I have the unit all hooked up, plugged in, water's hooked up. I do have it running from my 50-foot Uberflex hose into my pressure washer wand with the pressure washer gauge attached. Now, I was just looking, so in order to test this actual usable pressure, I always test it with your basic nozzles. I don't use the turbo nozzle. The turbo nozzle typically drops the PSI, but somehow actually makes it more powerful while you're using it because it does like a rotating little cone shape. Anyways, these guys are the best way to test it. Now, looking at this one, it looks like it's a brass backing. Most of them are stainless. So here's a competitor, right? So this one's brass. no big deal. Brass is on ships, Navy ships. It's corrosion proof and all that kind of good stuff. This one, however, does have a rating listed on it of 1.6. Now that is a tiny orifice. So 1.6, I always say 1.6 millimeter. It's actually 1.6 GPM is what it's rated for, gallons per minute. That is tiny, 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 tiny. The aftermarket ones, you really can't even buy aftermarket ones that I've been able to find, and that's small of a size. Usually they're 2.0 is like the smallest, and 2.5, 3, 3.5, up to 4, 5, 6. So this is very small. So we should be getting good PSI out of it. However, we are probably going to be getting really bad GPM. So in order to test that as well, I do have this aftermarket one here. This is a 3.5 millimeter, 3.5 GPM flow. So we'll test both of these out because since it only comes with one, we'll just test these two side by side and see what the numbers come out to. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the one that it came with. Go ahead and get that in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fire on the machine. And the casing here, there we go. Guys, now the pump looks like it's good quality. However, the casing of this thing leaves a lot to be desired. Like it feels pretty chintzy. For Simpson, they're a well-known pressure washing outdoor power equipment brand. And this feels a little cheap on the housing, personally for me. I don't like to say that because they did send me to this to test it out. I'm not getting paid or anything. This is an honest review. All my reviews are honest. Again, the pump looks super, super good. The housing, not so much. Anyways, let's go ahead and fire this guy on, see if it has the total stop system. Actually, I'm sorry, let me purge out some water first. I've purged out the water. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it on, see if it has the total stop system. And it does not. Okay, so total stop system, no. So that's similar to the Ryobi 2300 PSI. At least the one that I've tested in the past from years ago, it did not have it. I've heard from some of you that the new ones, they bought one and it does have a total stop, so maybe they updated that. I'm gonna try and find that out. But this one so far does not have the total stop. And it's not a big deal. It's still way quieter than a gas unit. So actually, I'm gonna go and grab my phone real quick and do a decibel reading to see how loud this thing is. All right, guys, so here is my decibel meter. Okay, usual ambient noise just from being out in the world is around the 50, 55 mark. So let's go ahead and fire this on. 76 while it's not being used, and then while it is being used, '84. So that's actually pretty on par. I think usually they sit around 83, 84. So not much louder than any of the others. Again, the fact that it stays on isn't ideal because in my mind, as that's running, it's just staying in, I don't know. Some people like it better because they think that it's not firing on that motor over and over again. But at the same time, I look at it as like the old myth. Like I remember growing up, you don't want to turn your car off all the way. If you're waiting somewhere, you don't want to turn it off because starting it's going to use more gas than just letting it run idle. And nowadays, right, you have a car that you pull up to a stop sign and the car shuts off. And then you accelerate, it turns back on. So obviously that wasn't the true fact. So now does that help the longevity of the motor? I don't know. Some people say yes, some people say no. I run the 2300 PSI in one of my mobile units that has a constant motor exactly like this one, no issues. And the other one, I run one that has a total stop system, no issues. So keep that in mind, not a big deal to me. Let's go ahead and fire it on and test the PSI. One other thing I wanted to note, guys, is it does look like it's instant. As soon as you pull the trigger, you're getting power. Some of the other ones have a little bit of a delay. This one seems pretty good as far as instant power goes. Yeah, that's really good. So I like that very much. The pump seems really good. Let's go ahead and check the PSI now. Let me look at it real quick. All right, guys, so at the tip, or out right here, now the tip might be slightly different, but at right here, we're only getting 1900 PSI. Usable pressure. So definitely not 2300. Let's go ahead and switch it over now to the aftermarket 3.5 nozzle. Let's see what kind of PSI we get here. Geez, that drops it all the way to 650 PSI, so not usable. So that's too low. You could probably use a 2.5 or a 3.0. That'd be better, but in this case, since we're not even getting the PSI out of it, let's go ahead and test the GPM out of this nozzle, and then we'll talk about it. Alrighty guys, so in order to test the GPM, actual water flow of the machine now, I have this bucket. I'm gonna put the nozzle in, let it run for 1 minute. There's a measuring guide here. I'll be able to measure it out and tell you exactly what the GPM is. Again, with that small of a nozzle, I'm not expecting anything special. I'm expecting probably 1.1-ish, to be honest with you. So let's find out. All right guys, so I'm sure you can actually hear the motor running on it. So we are prepped. Again, I'm only gonna be testing this one nozzle, I think, because that 3.5 nozzle dropped us so low. It doesn't really make sense to use that one. 1.6, yeah. Let's just go ahead and start with just this one, and I'll see from there. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my timer up and ready. Stopwatch for 1 minute. In the bucket, and here we go. Okay guys, so that was 1 minute, and we are at, yeah, standard 5 quarts. So I can't remember what that exactly is. Let me do that math for you guys really quickly. Okay guys, so at 5 quarts, we're actually at 1.25 gallons per minute. So much better than I thought. So we're getting 1900 PSI at 1.25. That's better than I thought. So let me go ahead and let's test this a little bit more, guys. Let's go into some other tips. Now, I plugged in that 3.5 nozzle. It got 650 PSI, so it's not usable. It's a total waste, right? That doesn't make any sense. So we're not gonna be using that. We're gonna go to a 2.5 and a 3.0. I'll test those. As I'm testing the GPM, I'll look at the PSI and let you guys know what it is, and then we'll figure out where the sweet spot is with this machine, at least for car detailing. If you're working around the house, pressure washing your driveway, the power that it's giving you right away is great. The fact that it's like instant on when you pull that trigger is really nice. The pump looks super good. Again, the housing's not great. I don't like the housing of it, but the pump seems really, really good. So let's go ahead and check the other nozzles, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, so for the next test, I have a 2.5 rated nozzle and a 25 degree. Now the degree doesn't make any difference. It's the size of the orifice that matters. The size of that little hole is what determines the PSI and the GPM. The degree is just the angle, no big deal. So we'll be testing that one, and then we'll also be testing a 3.0 15 degree nozzle. So let's go ahead and start with the 2.5 right now. I'm going to plug that in. Again, guys, I will be looking at the PSI and let you guys know what it is as we're running it. So let me go turn the machine on and we'll do this one. Okay, we're all set. 2.5 nozzle. Again, I'll link all these in the description for you guys. We're gonna do 1 minute again, and here we go. All right, guys, so that was 1 minute. We were operating at 1200 PSI with that 2.5 nozzle. 1200 PSI, and we're getting, it just upped it a half a quart, so 5.5 quarts. We're getting 1.375 GPM at 1200 PSI. So let's switch over to the 3.0 now and test that. All right, guys, here we are, 3.0 nozzle. I'm gonna run it for 1 minute again, and here we go. All right, let me go ahead and turn off the machine. Alrighty, so with that with the 3.0 nozzle, we were operating at 900 PSI, and we increased our GPM barely anything. We're getting a true 1.4 gallons per minute now, barely over it. I mean, it increased like another quarter of a quart maybe 1/8 of a quart. So not ideal. 1.4, we'll call it slightly over 1.4 GPM. So the sweet spot is definitely going to be a 2.5 orifice nozzle, whether it be 15, 25, or 40 degree nozzle, doesn't matter. Again, you just want that 2.5 rating. So you're going to be operating at 1200 PSI, 1.375 GPM. Not bad for car detailing, not ideal. You usually want a little bit higher, but it's definitely not bad. I would use it for sure. And again, the pump sounds great. The on-off is immediate. And the tiniest delay ever. It's really fast. It sounds great. It doesn't have a total stop, so it's a little bit of a bummer. So this is a very, very similar unit to the Ryobi 2300 PSI, at least the one that I'm using. It's very similar to that, and I'm getting those same numbers. I'm using a 2.5 nozzle. I'm getting about 1200 PSI at about 1.4 GPM. So it works great for my detailing business. There's no worries in one of my vans. But that's it, guys. That's pretty much your review on this thing. Again, not a bad unit, not the best. I was hoping for a little bit more out of it, but it got good numbers. The pump seems good. All that's good. So if you're interested in that unit, it's worth giving it a try. There are some other units that I've found that get very, very similar numbers. I mean, basically, even if you go with like the cheap Ryobi 1600 PSI little block, it gets pretty similar numbers, and that thing's $100. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. But if you're loyal to Simpson especially, they do make great stuff. It has a 1-year warranty. You can't go wrong there. So you are still gonna wanna upgrade your hose and all that kind of good stuff. Keep that in mind. Please, guys, give me a thumbs up on this video. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn on the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.